Welcome to the European Ham Radio Show. And this week with four hosts. Bob is out sick, and we'll let him be sick and instead watch the show and bring our viewer numbers up. And actually, speaking about Bob, though, I rewatched the show where we had the Ham Radio Workbench guys on, and Bob actually made a commitment to learn CW, and you did as well, Walt.
Yep.
You are gonna have your first CW QSO by the end of January. Was that it?
Yeah, that's the goal. I'm trying.
That is a hairy goal, and I've set my goal as well for CW in the video I released the other day. By the end of August, I am gonna do at least one activation, either SOTA or POTA with CW.
I figured all I had to learn is K4OGO73 because I'll just look for a contest and just do 5.9 K4OGO.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's contest. Let's happen.
I did 4 Qs.
5.9 is easy. It's 5 dits and just the N. So
So I got this CW app on my phone now, which I use when going back and forth to work by train.
That's what
So-
I'm using Morse Toad. I don't know if you've seen that Morse Toad.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I've been looking around. Let's see what my app is called. I don't think it's Morse Toad, but it's let's see here. It's Morse Mania,
I've seen that one. Yeah, I have seen that one.
which is very limited if you don't pay for it. So I need to find something else. Jeff says here that you have to worry about the call sign of the caller, and yeah, that is a legitimate.
Yeah, I knew
issue.
that. I was kidding. I do have I do have a secret weapon though. I have I could do it now probably if I want to. I have the PrepCom. So
the QMX also has a CW decoder built in, so maybe.
there's my
So,
and you can
but built in
always
decoder.
you can always record it and try to decode it afterwards.
yeah.
Yeah, but seriously though, I mean, I've never seen a really good CW decoder,
Nope.
which is strange. We put people on the moon more than 50 years ago, but we haven't been able to produce a good CW decoder.
That's because we've been trying to do it in metric, and if you guys would do what we did to get on the moon and use the imperial system, we can
The one I used last year was really good. The issue was when there were more than one stations calling, because it didn't have any way of discerning between them, so it couldn't see if there's who was making what beep, even if I could hear the difference. So,
Yeah, on the Android phone, Morse Expert is quite okay. So maybe you want to try that.
This is a good segue into the topic too, because I've been looking at add-ons for my SDR to decode CW. I was going to use it as a learning tool. You know what I mean? As I'm on my computer playing with my SDR, I could scan around and there's some good. We were talking back in the green room before the show started. There, we were talking. There's like some great programs out there as well. Like I know of like CW Skimmer and stuff like that, where you can decode. I was thinking about trying that as a learning tool. Sometimes you get tired of playing with the phone. You just want to like watch it and listen, But cool.
And Ham Radio Passion says that the true SDX radio is quite good at decoding sometimes. And sometimes, I guess sometimes is the magic word here. But first of all, our topic this week, SDR radios and how we could use them in our hobby. That's the topic of this week. But we have a couple of segments before we get there. Let's start off with our ham radio weeks. Kjetil, how has your week been?
Yeah, my ham radio year so far. Happy New Year, by the way, to everybody. That's been quite active compared to December. I'm finally not sick anymore, so that's quite nice. So I started off with a SOTA activation. I tried on December or January 1st, but it was just too windy. And by the January 3rd, it had died down to like 17 meters per second. So it was doable. Got one SOTA activation done quite quickly with 100 watt out, which was really nice to have on a really windy and cold day. And then I went up to Karmøy to Lima Alpha 4 Charlie to the radio club, had some fun there. Tried doing some FT8 outdoors in minus 10 something degrees Celsius, which is not recommendable. Like your fingers don't work on a keyboard outdoors when it's that cold. I saw you also operated FT8, but in a car, Morten. So that's
I did. That video has not dropped yet, though. It's dropping next week, I think. I'm gonna talk a little bit about when I get to my week, but I've been really productive making videos the last couple of weeks. So
yeah.
I have videos lined up for a long time going ahead. But you have done some really nice activations, and you've even done them outdoors in the terrible weather we've had in Norway.
Yeah, it's like that. My problem here is that there's only one park I can drive into. The rest I actually have to walk to. So I can't do any car activations, or I can, but that's boring. The same place all the time. So yeah, that was just a short one to get some bands for the Ed1cc award. And then yesterday I went to a very simple POTA, but I complicated by going up a detour up a hill to a World War II hideout. So I hiked through a boulder field, like 100 meters up a mountain wall, and found a really nice cave there. And forgot to include that footage in the video I dropped. So and then went back down again. But like all the hiking is there, I just forgot to show the cave.
Yeah, that looked like an interesting place.
It's a big cave. Like 80 people live there. So it's maybe 100, 200 square meters. It's a huge cave, like a house-sized cave. Really fun to see, and it's something you see when you travel around in Western Norway. You see a lot of these hideouts from World War II. Lots of places where people operated radio, or they hid equipment, or they did resistance work, or something like that. And many of them have plaques and like informational text and everything. So that is quite interesting to see when you're traveling around.
Absolutely. You can see that, and you can see a lot of German architecture from the late 1930s as well.
Yeah, the interesting part is that none of these plaques are in German. Like they have English, Spanish, Italian, Norwegian, but never German for some reason.
Are you sure about that? Because I mean, there are a lot of German tourists in Norway.
Yeah, at least the places I've seen, I haven't seen it, but that's probably going to change now. It's been so long that it's a bit different world now. Luckily.
Yep. Speaking about German, though, are you done with your week?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So perhaps,
sorry about that, Tobias.
Yeah. So perhaps we should pass the torch over to the German in the show.
Okay, I try to make it quick and not take too much time.
You've done a lot.
One thing I did was went into LED mayhem, as everybody knows, and yeah, it got a bit out of control. But I had 10 of these PCBs, so in the end, I built 3 of these blinky stars and milked it a bit on YouTube. So sorry for that. And then I started building the QMX. The kit arrived before Christmas, so I have a few pictures here. So I just scrolled through them. So as you do with the kit build, bit by bit, you populate all the different parts, and in the end, you end up with something that might be a QMX radio. I have not done the testing yet. The service menu or the diagnostics menu, a few of the results look a bit odd, so I probably have to consult on the group's IO page of QRP Labs if I did it right or if it's normal. But that's the high band version of the QMX, and yeah, it also has a built-in DW decoder, so maybe that's something to try an activation with.
Yeah,
how long
absolutely.
did you spend on that?
How much did I spend on it? I just
How
ordered it
long?
from the.
How long?
How long? I built it over. Yeah, I did not rush it, right? So I think 3 or 4 days, 2 or 3 hours a day. But I'm German, yeah, right? So you can probably build it much quicker. But since this was my first one, I took it really slow and double and triple checked every step. So if I would build another one, the next one would be faster, probably.
It looks pretty.
It is. It's a nice looking radio.
Yeah, it's nice, but it's super dense PCB. Lot of SMD components on the back, so you have to be really careful when you solder the through-hole components to not short out everything or knock off something. I would not say that's a beginner's kit, but it's a very nice kit and very nice documented.
Yeah. If it's any harder than the QDX, which I tried to build, got some help, ended up having another ham to build it for me. I'm not gonna venture out on that adventure.
I think it's harder because it has these 2 PCB sandwiched plus the power control boards, and everything has to fit together and not short out. You have to be really careful.
Absolutely. And it looks like you have some, you have to look around on the POTA map there, Kjetil. You are muted.
I've been looking at
but maybe let me quickly wrap up and then we can go back to POTA. Speaking about POTA, I think on 31st of December, I first started out in the car. I repaired my 3-magnet mag mount and it's working again, put it on the car and tried to make QSOs and failed dismally. And in the afternoon, I then tried the POTA activation and I probably had my first ever pile up with the exactly same setup that I failed in the morning. Yeah, so just calling CQ POTA makes a hell lot of a difference. So thanks everybody for answering me. That was quite fun to get, 30 or so QSOs in the log in a very short time. You have to be really I think I have to train with ham RS to, press the pause and the start button so that the time is always correct. So I'm not sure I got it 100% right in the log, but the call sign should be correct.
I think there is a 15-minute window on the POTA log. So
yeah.
At least
I think they piled in so fast that I'm probably fine.
So yeah, but POTA is excellent for making pileups happen.
Yeah, so I'm done now, Kjetil. So which was the parks that we are just looking at?
Okay. Oh yeah, I knew about one of them. I forgot I activated that from my car. I parked my car in it and walked in and activated from in the middle of a very wet marsh, which was a stupid idea. So
good ground plane though.
Oh yes, but then again, you don't mount like a 41 meter wire antenna in your car.
No, that's why you have mag mounts.
Yes, but the 0126, I wasn't aware you could drive into it, but I have to go there. I haven't activated that yet.
Nice. Walt, you've been out doing parking lots on the air in rainy conditions.
Whew, boy, what a day we had here yesterday. There's a storm that came up the coast, and I think it dumped snow up north of me, New York and New England up in there. But I wanted, went back to work last week, and I wanted to get out Saturday and operate portable. And as I was watching the weather come, I was like, you know what? This is definitely going to be a static mobile thing. And so the local parking garage, went to the top of that, used that triple mag mount, and I have an 11 meter Hustler, the Super Hustler, the big one. And I figured I'd use it for 10. Then I did. I had a good time. It was weird. I kind of made a discovery, as there was so much rain coming down. I'm sure I was getting a connection between the ground and the antenna because it was just soaking wet. So I'd go out and dry it off, and SWR would be perfect. And as I was talking, all of a sudden I'd see the SWR and start shooting. So it was a mess, but I had a good time. I actually had a QSO with Carlos, Life at Terminal Velocity, the skydiver. he had activated a park, and I just stumbled across him as I was spinning around the dial hunting. Had a QSO with him. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I got out and had a good time. It was fun. This past week, getting through the Christmas break, while we weren't here those 2 weeks, I didn't do any videos. I did a couple live streams. Something that you guys know me, I don't like live streaming that much, but I'm trying to get a little bit more comfortable doing it. Did a couple live streams and had some fun with that. And also, what we're going to talk about later, I got a AirSpy HF Discovery, and I've really been playing with that, and I really like this SDR. We'll talk about that a little bit more later as we get into the show. But so I've been doing a lot of as you guys know, medium wave DXer here. I've done a lot of that in the last week and a half, and this, to me, this is a great SDR for that, as well as some of my antenna setups that I have. But I've had a good time with that, and that's it. That's been my week.
Ah, a great week. I guess that leaves me then. First of all, I have been asked to promote a couple of common hamfests in Norway. First of all, next week, for those in the area, there's Hamtreff Innlandet, which is a little bit north of me. I haven't decided whether I'm going or not yet. Seems to be pretty good. There are options if you want to sleep there, or if you want to have dinner, breakfast. So should be a good place. So check that out. It's let's see if I can put a banner up here for that. Since StreamYard doesn't show the address on the browser here. Let's see. And you can find that at hamtreff.no. So that's the first one. The next one is the Norwegian Ham Meeting, which is a little bit later, which you can find at hammeeting.no. And that is February 23rd and 24th. So those are going to be two great hamfests if you come to Norway. Yeah. Hopefully. Besides that, I have been doing parks on the air. I got some extra time off work, so I have been doing, and I'm going to embiggen this page here. And I got this new keyboard where things aren't placed where they're supposed to be placed. But I have been doing, let's do it since we had our last stream. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've done a lot of activations here, as you can see. Pretty much the same parks, because I am using, I'm trying to get a kilo at Lima Alpha 2542. I have 949 QSOs now, I think. So hopefully one more activation and I'll have it.
Nice.
Besides that, been playing around with some stuff I got in the mail. There will be some videos on a couple of these products later on. First of all, I ordered this SDR off of Banggood. I cannot recommend this one. And it's not because it's a great receiver. It's got great filtering. It's a clone of the SDR Play RSP1 SDR. It's actually a really good clone. It's such a good clone that you have to use the SDR Play drivers and SDR Uno to use it. And that is out of the question, because that is against the terms of service for that. So this SDR, don't use your about $20 on it. Then I bought 49-1 Anand off of Banggood. I posted a picture of that in the DIY section of our Discord, because it looks like it's a 9-year-old that has assembled and wound the toroid in it. But it is wound correctly, though. It's just not wound pretty. So I made some wire for it. I used Ham Radio Dude's winder design here. Put some wire on it. I had a plan to tune that today, but it was minus 17 degrees outside. So my POTA today was with a 17-foot whip on top of the car with the heater running. So it was not antenna tuning weather. And finally, I got a Mobilink TNC. The only thing is that it's the TNC2. And that is not compatible with iOS or Windows. It is compatible with Android. The only Android devices in our house are my wife's phone and my son's phone. So I need to figure out a way to actually use this TNC. I really want to play around with that and see if I can get some APRS and WinLink going with it with an HT. Thus far, I haven't found a way to do that. So, but that's pretty much been my weeks. I've been playing around with a lot of ideas and a lot of things, but nothing that has really materialized into something tangible that I can talk about yet. Jeff says cheap Android tablet, and that might be a way to go. And I came across actually an Android distro for PCs, which I can't really remember what it was called now. But that seems a little bit promising as well. So I'm going to try to install that on a computer and see if that works as an Android device. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just want to show a couple of things. I got one more thing from Banggood, and that's a U-loop antenna. I'm not going to show that. It's a receive loop.
I've got one of those. You're going to like that.
Have you made? Okay, I was going to say I am probably doing something wrong because I can't really receive anything good on it. But I'm gonna try to.
What are you using it with? Use it with an SDR?
I've used it with an SDR, yes.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say. I can't really say which SDR I've used it with, but I've used it with an SDR.
I took mine to Hawaii with me. Actually, I was out on a patio of my hotel, and I just took it up on a pole and kind of spun it around. And I, of course, like it, maybe that's why I like it. And you have it. I use mine to do medium wave DXing with, and it worked pretty well.
It seems better on the lower bands than on the higher bands, actually. Yep. But I need to put the antenna up higher and do some testing with it because I am, just as a segue to the topic, actually, I am planning to set up a web SDR here. So I need a receive antenna for that.
Oh, wow.
And I need a working SDR for that as well, which is legal to use.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So that is kind of my plans for an SDR. And before we get started with the subject, though, because we tend to go off on that, Kjetil, you had a suggestion for a little new topic here on the show, a new segment.
Yeah, that's correct. Like we're the European Ham Radio Show, and most of us here are doing YouTube, or except from Bob, who is doing it every now and then only.
Let's do it in a non-metric way. Where four-fifths of the show are doing YouTube.
Yeah, that's correct.
And 4/5 of the show are European. That's kind of good. You know?
Yeah.
So what we wanted to show off is different European ham radio channels. Mostly like some of them small, some big, but like mostly focus on the things that not everybody knows about and people that started. So Øystein, that's in the chat here, Ham Radio Passion, Lima Bravo 8 India Juliet has a very nice new channel. And he'll also be our guest next week. And he's doing like a BP mode mostly, from what I've understood.
Yeah.
Yep. But very nice channels over in the far east of Norway, not too far from you, I believe, Martin. So it's nice and the Eastern Norwegian nature, to say that way.
Yeah, we actually did joined activation during Christmas, and there's a video on both mine and his channel on it. I think mine's called 3 operators, 2 parks, 1 small car, and a Ribakov. Yep. I think the title of my video is. He's really, I mean, he's a new ham. I think he's been licensed for less than a year. He started a YouTube channel and he's doing CW. That is impressive. So he's got 24 subscribers now, guys. Go ahead, subscribe to his channel. Let's get him some new subs here.
Yeah, and if somebody else would like to be featured, or if you know
Maybe
somebody
post
that,
the link in the chat, Morten.
I can post the link in the chat, and let's see.
yeah. So if somebody else would like to get featured, or if you know somebody that should be featured, somebody that's just starting up, or just a big channel, just drop us a link on Discord or send a mail to cq@hamshow.eu, and we'll show it in a matter of time. We'll try to take one of these each week just to spread the love a bit and make sure that the community as a whole grows here.
Absolutely, and it does not have to be an English-speaking channel. Just so that's said,
Yeah.
YouTube have some subtitle modes. Sometimes it works, other times it just spits out gibberish. But
Yeah.
but we're not
I
only.
like to go back into my analytics and when I look and see how many languages my videos have been translated into, and it's pretty funny when you go back, especially when you look at some of the languages too. It's kind of hilarious.
It's kind of spread out, so it's interesting there, and hopefully that's going to be interesting. Next week we'll do some other channel.
Yep. And now on to SDRs. And Walt, as a medium wave DXer though, how do you use SDRs? And what SDRs do you use?
Yeah, good question. What I normally do, my setups, I'll give you a quick one. I started out with the old school version 3 of the RTLSDR.com. So I got this one first. Yeah, the problem is I bought this one and it was a clone and it didn't perform. It worked, but not well. So then I went ahead and bought the real deal. And I use SDR Sharp, and I went through all of the headache of getting it to work in the HF world. And then, like I said earlier, now that I have the AirSpy, the HF Discovery, which this thing, I am blown away at how good this one is compared to the version 3 of the RTL SDRs. But I think the RTL SDRs are more meant for VHF for a higher frequency than down in the medium wave things. But what I do, let me pull some of my stuff out here. So what I do is I have a cable, and what I do is this goes to the SDR, hook it up, and then on the other end is a 3.5 millimeter jack. And then what I do there is I just use a medium wave loop antenna. This one has a jack, so I do it that way. That's one way I do it, and it works pretty well. I've discovered over using it that I had this ferrite bar antenna that I have here that was built as a Greek ham SB2 CZF. Pretty cool little ferrite bar. It's a tunable ferrite bar. So what I do now is I hook that up and then tune with that, and then with passive coupling, bring it over here and tune. And tune both of them. It gives me a little more, a few more, a little bit more of a boost or whatever. And then I chase around medium wave signals here. For us here in North America, and being on the East Coast, I can occasionally, I've gotten a European station here or there, but our big DX is down into the Caribbean and then the northern part of South America on medium wave, which is hard to do. It really is. The conditions have to be right. And I'm an early bird. I get up early in the morning, which is for us absolute best time for South America and the Caribbean. If I get up at like 3 or 4 a.m., which is, I go to work very early in the morning anyway. I do that, but I love it. Like I said, I use SDR Sharp. I've played around with some other SDR softwares. I personally just found that SDR Sharp, I like it. It works well with me. It's setup's easy, and I do that with my laptop. I've actually taken it. I have a small little like notebook type laptop that I travel with, and I took it over. A couple other things I have a couple small ones. I got this one with me. This is the Deepelec, the 101. This is a little all-in-one SDR radio. It's got a BNC connector on it. I took this to Poland with me, and same way with that. I have a BNC connector that I'll hook into my medium wave, and I'll hook this one up to my regular ham antenna as well. And it's just kind of like a, you know, I don't know what processor is in it or whatever, but it's kind of like having a little all-in-one SDR receiver that I play around with that quite a bit too for my medium wave DXing. But yeah, that's my thing. I love that's what I basically use my SDR receiver for is for DXing. I do have that what I travel with sometimes is a little if you guys have seen it, the little shortwave antennas that I'll clip on the window or whatever of the hotel room or whatever when I'm traveling and pull out, and I will listen in on some shortwave bands or whatever with it. But you know, that's what I do. I tell you what, Morton, you were mentioning web SDRs. I'm a big fan of web SDR too. A lot of time at work, I'll click on a web SDR and just listen while I'm working, you know, flipping over. You guys, you know, over in Europe while I'm here in the States.
Yep.
You know, sometimes, like, let's say one of you guys are on or somebody's live streaming. A lot of times, like on Friday mornings at work, for me, Callum, DX Commander, streaming live. There's no way I'm going to get him here. I'll go over just to see if I can hear him on the university there in the Netherlands. The was it Twente or whatever? Their SDR. Listening on that too. So, but that's how I use SDR and as just a listener and a DXer, and that's pretty much it.
And that's a great way to use an SDR, though. And the thing is, though, there are so many ways to use an SDR as a ham or just as a SWL, as a medium wave DXer. I got my RTL SDR many years ago before I became a ham. Since I've always been interested in what's around there. Didn't know anything about antennas. So I got one of those telescopic whips that came with it and could never get it to work, put it in a drawer. And I've been playing a little bit around with it. It's not the best receiver, though, by far. But it's an excellent proof of concept, and it works. And as I said, I want to do a web SDR, and I've been looking at Open WebRx, I think it is, running that off a Raspberry Pi. But I'm not there yet. It's not a straightforward process to set up Open WebRx. So if anyone's got a couple of already done configuration files, I'd appreciate that. But the thing about me is antennas, though, because I tend to use my antennas for both receive and transmit. So I need to put up a dedicated receive antenna, and that's what I thought the U-loop would do. But I need to dive further into that, and I need to see how it performs outside as opposed to using it in the window as I have been up until now, because the weather hasn't been any good.
How would that be next to a transmitting antenna? Would you have to have some sort of band filters or a kill whenever you didn't... whenever you're transmitting?
That is a good question, though. I guess that would depend upon how robust the receive circuitry in the SDRs are.
Yeah, because I've heard about them blowing up before if you're putting them too close to even not too strong things listening. So so that's something that's worth thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's not going to be less antennas in my yard in the coming years, I think. So they tend to reproduce themselves, as it seems.
Yeah, it's like a weird tree type, like that just spreads by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember starting not wanting to have any visible antennas outside. I do. Kjetil, what are your experiences in the SDR space?
Mostly in the listening part. As you, I got my RTL SDR before I got licensed, but that's a decade ago. So actually, I couldn't find it now, but I looked for it. But I have used it just for I used it a bit for listening to like air stations, FM, stuff like that, and to actually for its original purpose as well, getting DVB TV, like digital video. That's what it was made for. But then a guy at work showed me how to use it for ADSB to receive airplanes, which was really nice. So I had this antenna, which is kind of green, but it's 1090 megahertz antenna for airband for ADS-B. That was really interesting just to see how far you could pick up an airplane. And you also get like free professional access to some sort to Flight Radar 24 without ads and stuff like that. But I also brought that up to a SOTA summit and set it up there, portable. That was really cool. Then you could pick up, like I picked up planes over England from Western Norway. So that was quite fun.
ADS-B is a lot of fun. ADS-B was one of my COVID projects just a couple of days after lockdown.
Yep.
And that is not the ideal time to set up an ADS-B receiver when there's no planes overhead.
Like, wow, there's a plane here. But it was quite interesting because we have a lot of low-flying helicopter traffic where I live, and that doesn't get picked up by the official ADS-B things. So that's an issue when you go into the valleys in Norway. You can't get tracking to, for example, rescue or search and rescue helicopters and stuff like that. So that's an MCOM thing. If you would like if you're setting up a search and rescue station, you may want to have a portable ADS-B receiver, and an RTSL SDR with a small antenna could solve that issue for you. So that's one part. Of course, I also have transmitting SDR, G90, X6100. Both of those are TX SDRs, even though if there are no fancy flex radios, which I really want. So if somebody wants to trade a flex radio for a X6100 or G90, then feel free to send me a message.
Nice try.
but for your operating style, Kjetil, wouldn't such as an ELAD be a much better radio, or a Hermes Light?
Probably a lot better.
They are also really nice multi-user, multi-slice SDRs, though.
Yeah, I would also have to get a place to mount it and stuff like that. But I would really love to have that and play around with them. I have
played around with Flexes a couple of times, and they are really nice radios.
Yeah, but I had some fun last year at a work event. We had a security room at a work event there, and I set up a Bluetooth scanner, which just scanned all of the phones that came into the room and displayed them on a monitor and tracked them, how many were there, how long they were there, and stuff like that, and like just some off-the-shelf software. But still, it's really fun, and there's just a limited amount of things you can do with SDRs. So that's the fun of it.
It's a toy, but it's a really useful toy if you use it the right way.
Yeah.
Tobias,
you were talking. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, Walt.
We were talking about FM. That's something I didn't mention that I've thought something I want to do. I've seen some other guys do it here in the States. We have so much FM broadcast radio that there's guys that will record the entire spectrum, the FM broadcast spectrum during the day in the summer, because that's when we have sporadic E really big with our broadcast. Yep. And get home at night and just go through the band real quick and watch the waterfall until they see something bleep in on a frequency, go over and listen to it and log or listen to a sporadic. That's how you kind of a cheating way to catch sporadic E on FM.
Oh, that's fun.
I want to do that,
Yeah. But what kind of antenna do you need for that, though? Do you need would it be helpful to have a beam for the FM broadcast band?
Well, you know what? The old, I guess you guys had them there as well, but the old VHF television antennas, the Yagi type television antennas, a lot of people use them for FM radio here in the States. And I was looking at one. It was kind of a circular omnidirectional FM broadcast antenna that I was looking to doing that. I was thinking about putting it out the back window here when the summer comes and doing that, and find a way, like I said, I could record the spectrum through a day and then come in and listen to it. Because I tell you what, even just by chance in the summer, I'll flip around the FM dial on the car radio, and you always hit sporadic E in dead middle of the summer when it's very hot here. So something I've wanted to do with an SDR that I haven't. And when Cheto was talking about the airplanes and VHF or whatever, I was like, that's I remembered that. So
yeah, you could probably do it here with tropoducting. A lot of people were doing tropoducting with what they called England antennas, where they got UK TV stations in summer. And you probably do the same here. Listen to that better, because most radio here is over to DAB. Of course, you can receive that with those as well, but you need some other decoder software. But it's fun to see what's there.
I miss analog television here in the States for that very reason. Like in the summertime night, sometimes we can flip around the television dial, and here I'm almost 200, 250 miles. So what, 3 or 4 kilometers, 300 or 400 kilometers away from Philadelphia, we would get like Philadelphia television or whatever. In the digital age, that'll never happen again. That was fun part of analog back in the day too.
Absolutely, and it's fun to you talk about the England antennas, Kjetil. We used to have, or in my part of Norway, we have the Sweden antennas.
Yeah.
But that is a lot closer though, so a lot more reliable.
Yeah, we only used to have one TV channel when I was a kid, and then we got 3 channels or something like that. So that's back in the ancient times.
It is. Speaking about, I kind of lost my train. Yeah. I was thinking of
bias off, so I'm sorry.
Yeah. I just want to hit on something you said though about the FM antennas. I figured out that the FM band is roughly 3.33 meters band, which should make for a pretty compact Yagi.
It shouldn't be a problem to make it. Like it's not a huge thing.
So I think I have a project coming along for summer in Tropo.
Yeah, and DAB is 222 megahertz or something.
It's 170 to 230 megahertz as the European allocation for DAB.
Yeah, so that should also be doable.
That should be absolutely doable. Getting the few other countries in the world that uses DAB broadcasting.
Yeah. I think you have DAB in Germany, to be honest.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can pick them up.
Yeah, I could probably make a Yagi for that. That should be even more compact. So that is something to try out. Tobias, you had your SDR receiver up and running in the background earlier. What do you use your SDR for?
Yeah, mostly to enhance my FTDX 3000, which has a built-in waterfall, but it's one of the early ones and pretty sluggish. So just using one of these RTL SDR version 3 or 2, I don't even know. The radio has an output at the back, and that goes into the RTL SDR, and that way I have a nice waterfall, so I can just zoom in, and it's also connected with the Omni rig. So when I click here and go to a new frequency, it should, in theory, automatically jump there, and you can immediately, basically, you click and it tunes. So it's nicely integrated and can basically make the old FTDX 3000 a bit more convenient.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, another SDR that I have is here, the add-on Pluto. Hang on a second, let me go back to the other picture, and that was intended for QO100 reception, but I never got around to do it. So in theory, it should be easy. You need a bias T and an old satellite dish, and then you should be able to receive QO100 pretty easily.
Except that nothing with QO100 is easy as far as I've understood.
Yeah, well, I think reception should be fairly easy, right?
And the Pluto is a transmit SDR as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that 1 milliwatt or something. You need a bit of an amplifier after it, otherwise. I think people do it in 2 stages. They get a small 1 watt amplifier and then another one, maybe repurposed wireless LAN amplifier. And I don't know. I have not looked into that yet. And of course, the true SDX kit is also a SDR, and also the QMX is a SDR.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all done digitally. Yeah, they
And
all get the
that-
IQ signals into the processor and do the rest with software.
And that is because a lot of hams have SDR radios in their shack already. Such
And they
as
don't know it.
such as this one. And the G90, the 6100, all the radios that Walt likes.
That's right.
Yeah.
You were saying,
Yeah, but I mean, it's just the way to do it these days, right? You get the
Yep.
IQ signal, get it nicely digitized into your computer, and then you can receive any modulation scheme that you want. And if a new one comes along, also no problem. Software update. So far, the theory.
Yep.
But you have to understand the math. It's not so easy anymore, like in the olden days, with SSB, and build it discretely with a ring diode demodulator or something, or mixer.
No, it's
I mean, understanding the math for that is a bit tricky. I have not mastered it.
no. I am not a particularly bright guy, so I am an appliance operator when it comes to this.
Yeah, I do like the art of like looking at people that build proper good old-fashioned radios and seeing what you can do with discrete components.
Yep.
But and in theory, like there's not a big difference by doing it in software. It's the same process. It's just digital versus
Yeah,
analog.
there was a quite big YouTube channel. I haven't seen a video in him in a while ago. I forgot his name was. I think Charlie Morrison or something. Can that be, or am I completely wrong there? I think a guy in the UK. He really built the transmitters and receivers step by step with little boards and walked people through them. That was a really great YouTube channel. I have not seen a video in a while. I don't know. Maybe the YouTube algorithm scrapped him somehow. I don't know.
The YouTube algorithm is a scary thing, to put it mildly, because it takes everything you watch and pushes that content on for a while in order to see if you like it. I, for instance, have now at least 6 different videos from the Microsoft Excel World Championship up on my YouTube feed.
Yeah. I get lots of videos how to lower your blood pressure these days. I don't know how that happened.
So and I watched one video about Japan, and then I watched another one, and now I have a lot of content about Japan on my YouTube feed. So and for us as YouTubers, it's tough to compete with that algorithm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I found that with my phone sometimes I'll talk about a subject and then go to YouTube and there's a video. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, they're not listening at all.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
But if that understood as well as my Google device next to me, I'm not sure if it really picks up on what you're saying, though.
Well, I'll tell you what. My wife and I are looking at RVs, and the other night I said, I really like that. It's called the Coleman Lantern 17B, right? Next thing I know, I go on social media and there's an advertisement for the Coleman Lantern 17B camper. I'm like, holy cow, it's listening. It's absolutely listening. My Apple device is. How about that?
And if you want something vintage and European, I got a 20-year-old RV for sale, Walt.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. And so does Bob, but he's not here to try to push his.
Yeah,
we're looking hard, but we want one before the summer comes. We've been pet campers for years, and we're both getting old now. And I want the comforts of an RV or trailer, camper trailer.
Yeah. Just be prepared to get a completely new hobby, and actually be prepared that it is a lot more expensive than you really think it is.
Yeah, I know that for sure.
And things break on campers. They're not really the best quality,
Right.
and spare parts are incredibly expensive.
I'm just looking forward to going camping and being able to keep all my radios inside, nice, high and dry, and playing.
Yeah.
camping and
If it wasn't for my kids that don't really want to go camping anymore, and a camper that's too small to really fit almost 16-year-old and an almost 12-year-old, we'd probably be keeping it. But it is hard to have 4 people in something which is 7 by 2.5 meters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is tough.
It is one interesting part when we're talking about software-defined things is software-defined cars, like so many companies rushed cars into production, software-defined cars like Teslas and the Volkswagen series, and that's a good thing about software upgrades. You see that, I remember my father telling me when he had to change the windscreen wiper speed of his car, then he had to go 4 menus deep while driving to change the speed of the windscreen wipers. And but now they're fixing it so that you actually, at least for the new cars, you actually get a button for the windscreen wipers again, like good old fashioned. So in that sense, people went fully digital, but they're going back to buttons. I think that was a discussion we had last week as well. Like, do you prefer actually having physical buttons on a radio, even if it's SDR or not? Would you like to have a band toggle on your IC 7300, or do you want to have it in software and have to go into menus?
I
like
love
the
buttons.
cool knob. I do both.
I'm not really sure though. I like the way that ICAM has done it with the 7300, because you press the frequency and you get the on-screen soft keys for the bands.
Yeah, it's not too
but
bad.
That is a good
you
way
have
of
to
doing it.
find a compromise, right? I think I like a big spinny knob and a few buttons next to it, but they can be all multi-purpose basically, and you can assign them yourself however you want.
Yeah. The thing with the 7300 though is that I've never read the manual for it. There hasn't been a need to read the manual. I turned it on and I instantly understood how to work it.
What's that word you're saying? A manual?
Yeah.
Never heard it.
You don't own a Yaesu radio then, do you?
Well, I do.
Right.
But yeah. But if you see at like the big flex radios, they actually sell VFO knobs for it, physical VFO knobs that you can use with the software. And that's kind of nice. Like you can choose, but still having that tactile feeling and replicating that in software is really hard.
Mm-hmm. It is. I know from my line of work as a sound technician, there are really good mixers that do not have a physical interface that you use an iPad or similar for.
Yep.
Those are never used in a real setting because you need that physical tactile experience, even though if the inside is exactly the same as the big mixer you see.
Yeah, you need to know where that button is, that specific button over there,
Yeah,
or that slider. Yeah,
and that is a big difference in the audio world, though, from the analog mixers, which were actually laid out the same way, no matter which brand you got, to the digital mixers, which have each their own way of doing things.
Yeah.
So you can't really sit down with a mixer you haven't used before and use it for a complex show. As with an analog mixer, you could do that because they were all working the same way.
Yeah, but one disadvantage is when people are doing it in software, you can get people that have no idea what you're doing, coding it. Like you saw with, for example, X6100, the first version of the software there, where like the people that had done it had apparently never used the radio, at least not outdoors. So like the color scheme was completely useless. You couldn't see what power you were on in the interface because of the column selection, stuff like that. Probably the same in every other business as well.
Mm-hmm. So, but I think that the future is digital devices and software-defined devices, both from an economical standpoint and for a flexibility standpoint on it. And there is actually quite a way from the small SDR dongles, as we started talking about, to let's say a flex radio. Even though a flex radio also runs Windows.
Yeah, Oh, it's of course making it digital is the future, but we still have to remember the interface that you're interfacing to some old-fashioned human hardware somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And Jeff's got a comment here that the fly-by-wire aircraft has stick shakers on them to provide feedback to the pilot.
Yeah.
So, almost an hour and pretty much on topic for the entire show.
Oh yeah.
What's wrong with us?
Yeah.
Lost our gusto over the holidays.
Yeah, new and improved in the new year, right?
Yeah, and a new season of the European Ham Radio Show, and it's going to be a fun season. As we said in the beginning, we're going to have. Let's see if I can push the right button here once more. We're going to have this guy, Øystein LB7 India Juliet, on next week, talking about his ham radio journey and most of all, how he decided to pick up CW so shortly after getting licensed. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Give him a sub. It's I'll put the link in the chat once again. I see he's up to a lot more subs than he had when we first mentioned him. So apparently we have some effect. Yeah. And in 2 weeks we're gonna have N9 SAB Tim. It's gonna be here talking about his antennas, and let's get them up on screen here as well. So those are the next couple of weeks on the show, and if you know of anyone that you would think would be great as a guest, let us know in our Discord, hamshow.eu/Discord. I am a ham radio operator. So these are the antennas from Tim, and you got a couple of his antennas, Walt. And are they as great as they're
awesome?
Yeah,
they're amazing. And if you see right there on the lower right-hand corner there, that little choke, the 1-to-1 choke, I've got two now. They're amazing. And everyone always asks me, hey, where do you get that choke? Where do you get that choke? And I see my friend Tim makes them, and I've got, when I was in Poland, I took over a dipole of his, G5RV of his I've used, off center fed dipole, 49-to-1, infed, I'm losing it here, infed half wave. Yeah, and quite a few of his antennas, and they're quality built. He really does a good job. Lightweight, small. He always sends them with a nice little bag that they come in, and they're great portable antennas. They really are. He's a great builder, and they always work exactly as he says they will too. He's like, no tuner needed. There's no tuner needed. You know what I mean? He's got them dialed in, and he's a great builder, and he does it all. He's a one-man show. And he really built some great stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting him on. I've been on a live stream with him before. If you've ever seen, he gets with Tracy, Outdoors on the Air.
Yeah.
Canadian. They actually did a video I was in called Ham Heroes, where they go to different YouTubers from the ham radio, and I live streamed with him, and he's just a lot of fun too. It's gonna be a great show with him on here. We're gonna have a good time.
Looking forward to that. And that actually happened while I was watching one of your live streams, Walt.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think I said, "Hey, Morton, we get him on the show." I remember that.
So that's gonna be a lot of fun to have him on, and hopefully we'll get to follow up during this season on the LoRa APRS and Meshtastic things. I know a couple of people in the Discord has ordered those LoRa boards from Liligo, so that's going to be a lot of fun as well. Looking forward to getting that set up, just to have something new and exciting and experimental to play with, and perhaps even getting it to work.
Yeah, maybe we could send some messages between us, but that's maybe a bit too far. You and Bob, perhaps?
On probably not on Simplex, but I mean, Meshtastic is a mesh network though. So if you have enough users in between, that should be a way of doing it. I know Scout 75, Shane, he's doing a little bit of a series on Meshtastic at the moment, testing out range and such. So we'll see what we can do with Laura in the next season. We also have a Discord, hamshow.eu/Discord. So please join there. And I guess that's it for now. Almost exactly at the hour mark. So we are doing better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
Next week, LB8 India Juliet talking about his ham journey. See you then. Until next time, guys. 7-3.
7-3.
Bye. Have a good week.